So it's November 30th and it is about 29 degrees outside, and I live in New England. So it's getting to be that time of year again. Now, I love when people start talking and say, oh, it's global warming, oh, this, that, when it isn't, in my opinion. I mean, I understand how the sun operates on a flat earth, so it makes a lot of sense to me why we still can have warm days in October and why things like that happen. It doesn't mean that we have global warming. I mean, to me, that's silly, okay? What is actually going on is that the sun, of course, is heading back to the southern hemisphere. So in our summertime, in New England, we have summer, obviously, in, June, July, August, September. Then it starts to get cold. What's going on? Because on around June 20th, the summer solstice, okay, is when it's going to be as hot as it's going to be in New England and the northern hemisphere. All right, what's happening now is that the sun is going south for the winter, just like everything else. You know, those sayings, oh, the birds are flying south for the winter. The sun is also going south for the winter. It's starting to take a longer route to get to the southern hemisphere. So instead of the circle around the northern hemisphere, now it's circling outward, more oblong shape to get out to the southern hemisphere. And what's going to happen in December, which is Christmas on December 25th, or the winter solstice, what happens on that day is the sun actually begins to come back to the northern hemisphere on December 25th. And that is why it has been dubbed throughout so many civilizations that the Son of God, the Son of God, right behind me, this thing, that is God's son. And I don't think anyone can argue with me on that. That is God's son. Did you make that thing up there? That giant, awesome orb that brings light and life to the earth, okay? Every single spring when the sun comes back, okay, to the northern hemisphere, and light brings all of that life and goodness back to the earth. I don't think anyone can disagree with me on that. Now, on December 25th, like I said, what's happening is the sun is as far away now from the north, from the northern hemisphere, as it's going to get, and it begins to come back. But there's a really interesting thing happening, and if you don't know, you don't know, and I suggest that you listen. What's happening is on December 22nd, December 23rd, and December 24th, the sun sets in the exact same spot. So basically, it's going out to the southern hemisphere, it's circling out, and it's only going to go that far. It's not going for any further. It's going to make that circle and stay that same distance. It's not going further out. So if it's circling, right, and it's going every day after the summer solstice, the sun begins to go further out, like I said, to the southern hemisphere, further and further and further. Once it hits December 25th, that sun, it's not going to go further than this. It stays there. So on December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, it stays right there. It sets in that same exact position. And then on December 25th, it starts to come back to the northern hemisphere, which is where you get your whole idea of the Son of God being born, okay? It's a born again type of deal. Yeah, of course the sun is born because the sun is now coming back to the northern hemisphere. If the sun didn't come back, if it just kept going south, we would all freeze to death. We'd be screwed. There would be no life here anymore. So every single December 25th, when that sun begins to come back, that is the celebration of the sun coming back to the northern hemisphere. Because thank God for his son and for bringing his son back to the northern hemisphere. Because if it wasn't for that, we would, like I said, we'd all freeze. We would have no food, we'd have nothing, we'd be starving. If that sun continued to track southward instead of come back in December 25th, we would all die. And that's my opinion, but I mean, think about it. If the sun just kept going further and further and further away, never coming back. So yes, December 25th, the winter solstice, that is a big deal because the sun is almost like, it's like he's making his decision on this 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. You know, like, do I stay? Do I go back for these people? You know, do these people need me in the north, or should I just keep going? And, you know, honestly, in my opinion, you better pray that the sun decides to keep coming back north every single year. You better pray that it does that, because if it doesn't, we're screwed. So that's what's going on. That's based on a flat earth, which is my opinion and my belief, you know, based on just so many things. I'm writing a book about it now. You can find my stuff on my website, withthesun33.com. I love you all.